Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Crushing Land. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that's been coming up quite a bit lately from our coaching students, in our group coaching calls, in different questions that we've been getting. It's something that I actually addressed yesterday in the Facebook group, something that you actually received an email from us about yesterday. If you get emails from us, if you didn't get it, you might want to go check your email and make sure that you received it, because again, it only went out yesterday talking about this. And that is getting your properties listed. Is it good to list properties that you have under contract, particularly on the MLS? And when I started in this business over a decade ago, this really wasn't a thing. At that time, we basically used two sources to sell our properties, and they would sell pretty easily using those two sources: Craigslist and Zillow. And you may sit there and say, what about Facebook Marketplace? Well, I said 10 years ago, plus Facebook Marketplace didn't exist then. So yes, we've added in Facebook Marketplace, and Facebook Marketplace is a very good place to sell properties. The thing with Facebook Marketplace is, though, unless you're selling lower end properties, it's usually not the place that people go when they're looking at properties that are 30, 50, 70, $100,000, right? This is the place where they're looking at properties that are $7, $10, $12, $15,000. But when you start getting above that, most of them are not looking at Facebook Marketplace for those type of properties, at least not regularly. Now, I'm not saying that that's a rule. We've sold tens of properties that have been in the $30, $50, $100,000 range in Facebook Marketplace. It's just not the number one source. Craigslist also is not what it used to be. It used to be an amazing place. A decade ago, that's by far was our top selling place for properties. It wasn't even close. We put stuff out and it was just very quick. Again, Facebook Marketplace didn't exist yet. And so because of that, we were using Craigslist and we were selling a lot of stuff. Now, it's actually very down. We hardly use, we still list things on Craigslist, but we just don't sell nearly as much that way. And again, it's for a particular type of property, for a particular type of buyer, that type of thing. So what we have been doing more and more is flat fee MLS listings. What that does is that it gets us exposure on the MLS, Realtor.com, Redfin, Zillow, things like that. I mentioned Zillow at the outset. Zillow used to be very easy to list for sale by owner property. So we'd put them out, just have a Zillow account, list it. It would put it out there and it would get the same exposure as anybody else. Zillow changed a few years ago. And what happened was they basically started segregating them. So you'd have realtor listings on one side and for sale by owners were a different tab. And unless you clicked on that tab, you wouldn't even see those properties. You'd only see the realtor listings. It also got harder to put them out. They'd make you go through verification and they wanted all these different things, and it just wasn't as easy to actually get the property out there. That's where the MLS came into play. The MLS not only puts it out on the local MLS where that property is, but it also syndicates it to those different sites. And so you are getting that Zillow exposure, again, that Realtor.com exposure, that Redfin exposure, that Homes.com, that Lands.com, whatever it may be, it goes out there. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of what we do with the MLS is for the exposure, for that syndication. We do have agents that sell our properties that see it on the actual MLS site, but the vast majority of what we sell actually comes from individual buyers that saw it on some other site. I sold one recently. I saw the link because he sent me an email. It came from Homes.com and he reached out to me. Just sold one last week. We just put under contract a financing deal, and that person came from Zillow and reached out to me directly. So these type of things are very common, where the buyer is looking elsewhere other than, say, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that. And the MLS is giving them the ability, because of that syndication, because of that exposure, to be able to find the properties that you're selling. Now, the big question that comes up then is, can you do this if you don't own the property yet, right? With Facebook Marketplace, you're putting out these properties that you don't own. Or with Craigslist, you're putting out properties that you don't own. Can you do that with the MLS? And the answer is yes, in most cases. Some MLSs don't allow it, period, right? And they'll let you know that, but as you're going through the work. But the vast majority of them, and everyone that I've worked in, does allow it. However, what they require to be able to do it varies. So in some cases, it's just the contract. They sign the contract, and the seller signs the contract. You have that. They say, can you prove that you have the right to sell it? our contract gives us the right to market the property. We show that to them, and they're like, okay, no problem. So that is something that exists in a lot of cases where the MLS is okay with that. In other cases, the MLS steps it up a little bit, and what they want is a power of attorney or an attorney in fact signed by the seller giving you the right to do that. So what that is, at least with the power of attorney, is a notarized document from the seller saying that they're signing off. Attorney in fact is not a notarized document, doesn't have to be, and basically they're giving you that right. So what our email was yesterday, what our post in our group was that we worked with an attorney and we redesigned our purchase and sale agreement. We redesigned that purchase and sale agreement. And what that is now allowing is having that word in there, that's having that attorney in fact wording included, just a couple of sentences that now gives you the right to do that. But you're not having to drop an extra document in front of your seller because of this. Your seller is still just signing the purchase and sale agreement to you. But then when you go to list it, it has that wording that is needed in order to get it on the MLS. And it's funny because after that email was sent out, we had a couple of different people reach out to us, students and ones that have been talking about it, and even ones in Facebook that had basically been saying like how much of a game changer it was and how much they were waiting for it. And they had run into this a little bit and basically, they were getting this wording and things like that. So what we did again was we had an attorney draft this up for us, and we've been using it. And then we brought it to you like we always do, our students and those who have our course. And now you have that same exact wording in those agreements. So what you're doing now is you're basically just still getting a purchase and sale agreement signed by your seller, but it's giving you the attorney in fact wording for that particular purpose, only for that particular purpose, only for marketing the property. And it does say like on the MLS and things like that, which now allows you to go and put that out there without having to go back to your seller and getting another document. Now, is this foolproof? Is this guaranteed? Of course not. Right? Because every MLS is a little bit different. And some MLSs are going to require that you get a power of attorney, or some of them are going to just say, no, you can't do it. But for the vast majority of the MLS out there, this will be sufficient. And this will allow you to get the property out there and get it for sale. If it's not, then that's where a couple of different things could happen if they require it to be notarized. The nice thing is if you discover that, what you could do at that point is you could take the exact same wording, the exact same contract that you have with your seller. You're saying, okay, now I'm going to put this on the MLS, even though I don't own it yet, but I need a notarized document. Instead, you send them back the exact same contract and you just say, I need this notarized, right? You can send them back a blank copy of it with a notary page after it, and the notary signs that. They sign in front of a notary, or you can do it through a virtual notary. You can set it up for them to make it easier or whatever it may be. But then at that point, obviously now you have the notarized copy. But again, we wouldn't go that far to begin with. You can simply just get it signed as normal from your sellers and then use that to get it out on the MLS. So for those of you who have our course, the Land Riches Blueprint, you already have access to this new document, okay? You already have access to it. Like I said, everything that we use in our land investing business, we bring to you. And so this is something that we're using, and then we bring to you as our students to use it as well. So it's already updated in there. All you have to do go into your member area and download it from the documents, and you'll see the new wording in there. The same is true for our Goal Coaching students. Anybody that's working with us, you'll see it in your documents. If you're not yet working with us and you want access to this, you can go to landrichesblueprint.com. You can purchase our course, and you'll get instant access to that document. And not just that document, but you'll get instant access to tons of other documents that we use day in and day out in our land investing businesses. And that's one of the things I want to talk about with you guys here for a few minutes, is that what you're getting is what we actually use. And one of the things that we've talked about right from the beginning that is huge, and this is a perfect example of this, is how we are still relevant and doing this business day in and day out. There's other courses out there, no doubt, right, that teach land, and some are good and some are not, and they're all over the place. But the one thing that, and I can't speak for everybody else, but one thing I can say for us is that when we adapt and we make changes because we're doing this, so we realize this, for example, this right here was an issue, right? We realize this wording needs to change. And so because of that, we met with the attorney, we had it done, we brought it to you. Now it's out there and it's able to be used, right? Whereas others have the same documents that have been out there for 10, 15 years, right? They had them done once, they used them, they said they're good forever, and they just keep using them. And in reality, it doesn't get the result that they need. So this one document is now superior to many others out there because of this extra wording. And the question I posed yesterday is, how many deals do you need to get on the MLS? How many deals do you need to get that extra exposure? How many deals, because of that, do you need to sell in order for it to be worth the purchase price of the course? And the answer is simply one, right? As soon as you do one deal because of it, you've more than made up for your investment in this course. And on top of that, you also get all the other documents that we use day in and day out as well. And every time we update any of those, you get the update as well that's relevant for right now. It's the end of 2023. We're just weeks away from 2024. This is the things that we're using right now that are relevant to this business and that you can do the same. And we've had a few people that have mentioned that, one person actually mentioned that it was our purchase and sale agreement, our previous purchase and sale agreement. When they purchased the course like a year or two ago, they said that one document, because of how good it was worth the purchase price of the course alone. They're like, that alone more than paid for it. And guess what? We just upped it. We just made it even better for you. So if you're sitting on the fence, or even if you're involved in another program, if there's anything like that, and you just want to get superior documents because they're ones that are being used and updated, this is obviously something that you want to check out. Again, for the price of the course, you're getting these refined documents that really give you a heads up advantage right now going in. So again, getting back to the MLS and the different things that we use, yes, you can list on the MLS. Yes, you can list properties that you don't own. Is it, again, guarantee in every MLS? No, there's hundreds of MLSs in the country. So it's not going to be a guarantee that it works in every one of them, but it's going to work in a vast majority of them, right? We have students that are using this wording, they're putting this out there, and it's getting things listed. And I know a few states are more difficult than others. One of them I'm working in, and it's allowing me to do it. One of them that we had a student work in, and he just reached out to me and said, this is the wording that I needed. It's allowing me to do it. Another student, basically, this wording mirrored what she was told that she needed. So we've got 3 states right there that are already having these issues with POAs or AIFs. And with that being the case, they are being able to get their properties listed, and the same could be true for you. So again, if you use this document, you're able to actually get your properties on the MLS, get that exposure, and because of that, get them sold. So do we recommend flat fee MLS services? Absolutely. The answer is yes. Generally speaking, you're looking at somewhere between $100 to a few $100, depending on the state. Most of them you can find something for $99. Broker list or something like that, or Bacom. Those are ones that we do recommend. But depending on the state, depending on the area, it may start to go up just a little bit. We paid up to a couple hundred. I think $300 was the most for a single property on one of these situations. But with that, you may say that's a lot of money, but we're talking about putting a property out that's worth $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in that case, even if it's only worth $20,000. If it's only worth $20,000 and you're buying it for $5,000 or $7,000 or whatever it is, say you're buying a property for $7,000, what's an extra $300 in marketing to get it sold, right? It's nothing. Part of doing business is something that you want to look at. So again, we highly recommend using flat fee MLS services. We gave you a couple there that we recommend. And with that, we recommend making sure that you have the right document, because it's a lot easier to get your seller to just sign something once and send it back to you. And again, when it's buried in the contract, they don't really pay attention to those couple sentences, as opposed to going back to your seller a few weeks later or a month later or whenever it is that you want to list the property, and now you're dropping a document in front of them, and that document is literally just drawing attention to the fact that, hey, I want to list this thing, right? It's a lot easier to do it up front. That's what our wording does. It gives you that ability to be able to do that, to be able to get it out there, to be able to get that exposure, and most importantly, to be able to get your property sold. So everybody, thank you again for joining us for this week's episode of Crushing Land. We hope you found this informative. Hope you're able to take something from this and actually get some deals happening because of it. And again, if you need access to that document, all the other documents, and exactly how we run our business, go to landrichesblueprint.com. Landrichesblueprint.com. You can get access to that course, and as soon as you purchase it, you're able to get immediate training videos to help you through this and immediate access to all of the documents, including our purchase and sale agreement. So everybody have a great day. We'll see you next time on Crushing Land.